This week on JEB in Flow, we are talking about the healthy and unhealthy aspects of making comparisons. You make a lot of comparisons throughout the day. Plenty of your thoughts are comparative thoughts, comparing this to that, comparing me to you. It's happening, it's in our nature. I don't know that there's a way that we can just totally stop it, nor should we. But it would serve us to better understand the comparisons that we are making, to learn about how they are affecting us, and perhaps to channel those comparisons in a way that serves us best. We've all heard the saying, comparison is the thief of joy. That can be true. It doesn't have to be true. Check out this episode, and we'll talk more about why and how. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to JEB in Flow here on the Street Parking Podcast channel. Let's start it out with a couple of deep breaths. Close your eyes if you can and sit up really tall and straight. Breathe in. Fill your belly. Breathe out. Two more just like that. Each inhale a little bigger, a little better. And the exhale's nice and slow. One more time. Fill up. Take another little sip of air in at the top. Really slow breath out. Blink your eyes open. And here we are. Man, I needed that. My voice was cutting out in there. So anyways, I've been doing a lot of cool stuff with breath lately. And I'm excited to share that with you. But that is not for this episode. That is for down the road when I have a little more of a crystallized idea of what I want to say about that. I was thinking about this saying that we actually have a street parking newsletter, part of the Unlocked series, called Comparison is the Thief of Joy. That, I believe, is a quote from Teddy Roosevelt, and I really like it. I found some articles that disputed that assertion, and they made really good points. Comparison is something that comes very natural to us. It's something that is kind of part of our nature, but there is a healthy way to do it and an unhealthy way to do it. And, you know, I was thinking about a time when I was coaching years and years ago, and I brought in we'd get new members into the gym, prospects, and go through a little intro session and teach them sort of about what it is that we did, our approach to fitness and what they can expect. Anyways, I was doing an intro session with this person, and there was people in the gym, kind of open gym hour, and they were doing various different things. And I want to say this member was doing either kipping pull-ups or maybe some kind of handstand push-up. I think it was kipping pull-ups. And my prospect looked over and was like just in awe of that person. And they were like, man, I want to be able to do that. And what I told them was, that person that you're looking at, like a few months ago, they couldn't do that. And that person was, I don't mean this in a bad way at all, but like a very mediocre athlete. They were not exceptionally fit. They were not like the top person in the gym or someone that was going to local competitions or anything like that. They were just showing up and doing some workouts, and they had learned how to perform a kip and apply that to a kipping pull-up. And it was just really funny because that person, when they started, never would have expected that within a few months, someone else might look at them and look up to them and compare themselves to them and be like, wow, I wish I could do that. There's somebody that can do something that I can't do. And in some ways, I believe that might be a healthy comparison. In some ways, not. But here's what I'm thinking. If you compare yourself to others, two things could happen. One, you would either feed the ego by trying to put people beneath you to make yourself feel better. Downward comparison. And then you have upward comparison, where you tease the ego by putting yourself beneath other people. And like I said, it's not all bad. How far upstream or upward and how far downward you make the comparison is important. And the mindset that you have when you make comparisons is important. 12% of all of your thoughts are comparative. And we have a lot of thoughts, which means that basically 5 times a minute, you are making a comparison. Every minute throughout the day. So you're either comparing two objects, you're comparing ideas, you're comparing people, or you're comparing yourself to others, comparing others to you. So it really is, it's in our nature, it's how we relate to the world, it's how we kind of in some ways find our place in the world, is by comparing one thing to another thing. Apples to apples, apples to oranges, right? That's just what we do. But think about this. If you did something 5 times every minute, so since I've been talking, you've made like 30 comparisons already, right? If you do something 5 times every minute, don't you think it would be worthwhile to better understand what it is that you're doing and how it affects you, how it affects your brain, your attitude, and your behavior? If you could better understand that and you could learn more about these things that you're naturally going to do 5 times every minute, then you could really drastically create some positive effects or even positive change in your whole world. So it's how we make these comparisons that's important. You've got these terms like FOMO and like keeping up with the Joneses, where, oh, this family down the street, they're doing this one thing. They have this car. They're, having this type of birthday party for their kid. Now there's this pressure. I have to do it too. We see it in jobs. You see it in your home life. You see it in advertising. It's everywhere. And the way that they get you is, obviously, it's preying on fears and insecurities and that kind of thing, but it's doing it through making comparisons. You're comparing your existence, your world, your relationships, everything having to do with you to what you are seeing or experiencing over there. One of my favorite, but also just the most diabolical form of this, I think, is like pharmaceutical ads, where if you watch a pharmaceutical ad, it's like you're watching this person and they're just having this perfect life, especially antidepressants. Now, I got no problem with antidepressants. I'm not saying that you should not take antidepressants or be on them if you're supposed to be on them. So let's get that out of the way. But the advertising is, I don't know, unscrupulous? I don't know. They'll show this either this person, they're really happy, they're out in nature, they've got some loved ones around them, or they're, in a really fluffy living room with lots of flowing stuff and everybody's smiling and it's great. And it's painting this picture of this is what it is, this is what it should be for you. And anything that is not this is depression. And based on an advertisement like that, well, shoot, I mean, we're all depressed. We all need Viagra. We all have something going on with our bowels. You know, that's what these ads are trying to get you to think. And it's through making these unhealthy comparisons. There's a saying apparently on the Appalachian Trail, people that hike the Appalachian Trail, and it says, hike your own hike. And I love that because that's really what we're doing. If you want to compare yourself upward to somebody, that's great. But it should be not necessarily identically wanting what that person has, like wanting to become that person, but you're hiking your own hike. They obviously have something that you want. They're obviously in a place that you want to get to. Maybe they're further along on their hike than you are, and you can see where they are. So if you have a growth mindset, right, you know, like, hey, if I just keep doing what I'm doing and take the necessary steps and learn from my mistakes and accept help from others and ask questions and be humble and not try to do it all on my own or think that I know the best way or get down on myself if I mess up, well, then you're hiking your own hike. You're going to get to that same level that person is that you're making a comparison to. But when you get there, it's going to look different for you because it's your experience. It's not their experience. And you honestly don't even know what their experience is because you're not them. So making comparisons to other people is fine as long as you have the right attitude about that. So if you're using that comparison to juice you up, and it could be a downward or an upward comparison, but if you're using it in a way that serves you, right? Like keeping up with the Joneses or the whole fear of missing out, like how does that serve you? What good does that do for you? I can't really think of anything. But having a rabbit to chase that makes you better and doesn't make you feel less than is great. And the difference is attitude. The difference is having that growth mindset and not having a fixed mindset. A fixed mindset, or if you're like, well, I'm smart, I'm fit, and as soon as you encounter somebody that's smarter or fitter, all of a sudden, this thing that you've identified with no longer applies. I thought I was fit, but this person's way more fit, so now I'm not fit. This person's way more smart, way more smarter, you know? Now I'm not. And it's really not a good place to be. Hiking your own hike is just that. Have your own experience. When you get to the mountaintop, enjoy that view because that is your view. That is the view that is just for you and nobody else is going to see it the same way. And that only comes from hiking your own hike. From modulating the amount of comparisons that you make. And when you do make comparisons, identifying why you're making them, how they serve you, and having the right attitude about them. So that's the action item for this week. 3 things. If you catch yourself making comparisons, number 1, ask yourself, is this realistic? Am I setting myself up to be disappointed? Is this a realistic comparison that I should be making that serves me in a positive way? Number 2, what are you trying to achieve by making that comparison? I would say of the 5 comparisons that you make every minute, at least 2, if not 3. So almost the majority, if not always the majority, would be comparisons that achieve nothing. But you got to ask yourself, what am I trying to achieve? And if you find that you are getting down on yourself, like you make a lot of upward comparisons that make you feel small or make you feel less than, if you notice that that is a recurring theme, then the third thing to employ would be to ask yourself, who looks up to you? Because I guarantee you, wherever you are, with any endeavor, whether it's fitness or your job or nutrition, there is somebody else out there that looks up to you and wants to know how you got to where you are, how you did it, how you did the things that you needed to do to get to where you are right now. So that would be a healthy downward comparison. But think about that. I guarantee you, somebody out there looks up to you. Somebody out there wants what you have, and you might even be able to help them get it. But that's it. Ask yourself those 3 things this week when you catch yourself making comparisons. Have a great week. I love you. Talk to you soon.